I've heard about transport business. It's a mafia business.
It depends. You can, even yourself, you can't just decide to do business with anybody without doing your research. No matter how good a deal might look, there are times where I'm saying, no, thank you. There's never a tender that's on the streets. You stand the risk of taking your truck there, it being stolen. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Not only not being paid, it can never come back.
Truck drivers, apparently they are problematic.
They're not problematic. They are human beings just like you and I.
Okay.
I had to swallow the pill. So in as much as I wasn't making it was a break even for me, I said I could live with this.
Did you ever have to claim for insurance in one of your, whether it's the truck itself or it's the actual materials or it's the drivers?
No, not so long ago, late last year, October, for the first time in our life, we had an incident that was nearly a fatality, where one of our drivers forgot to pull a handbrake, and the truck rolled because it was parked in an inclining area. And that's when the movie started. He tried to stop the truck.
How? He was outside of the truck?
Outside of the truck, going to the control room at the mine. This landed him in Mill Park Hospital.
Ooh,
and
everyone's running around.
The following day, the mine will tell you as the owner, you be here, girl. You being a girl doesn't matter at that point.
Hi everyone, welcome back again to Procurement Dialogues. I'm your host Lerato Sebata. We are back with yet another power-packed episode, and today we are going to talk about transport, women in mining. We have a powerhouse. For the first time we're actually having a woman in our show. So I just want to welcome you, Sissy.
Thank you, Lerato. I really feel honored to be more so because I'm the first woman.
You are the first woman in season 2 of having you here. And I always struggle to find women.
Is it?
Which actually just highlights the fact that there's less women businesses out there.
No, that is true. There's still that gap that we still need to fill.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the day.
I know.
Where we'll be doing it.
Listen, we are the game changers.
Obviously.
So just by way of introduction, you are Annah Manugu. Can you just tell our viewers more about yourself, the business that you're doing in transport, mining? It sounds so exciting but yet intimidating. And you make it look so easy.
Yeah, it hasn't been an easy journey. Hey, my name is Annah Manugu, as you've just mentioned. I'm the ambassador for Mamoja Trading and Projects, which is a transport company based in Pitfalls, Marikana, in the northwest.
Marikana,
the famous Marikana.
You know what? For some reason, I just never thought it is Marikana. I just know Rustenburg.
Marikana. Okay. I'm from the Marikana.
Wow. Okay.
So transport is what we're doing. We're offering our services to the mining industries, transporting their mining commodities. We also do material handling for them. Utilizing yellow equipment, which is something that I've started recently, quite interesting. And then we also move their platinum concentrate in a slurry form, utilizing bulk tankers.
Yeah.
And recently we've just also ventured into some side tippers, moving chrome and coal.
You know what, saying that, already I'm thinking, your staff turnover should be 40, 50, I don't know, truck drivers, stress and all of that. But you know what, well done. You've done well for yourself. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sis.
You've done so well. And I know you've also won a couple of awards. Award winner. But before you get into the juicy part of the conversation, let's talk around how did you start your transport business or getting into the transportation? Even more mining. Why that? Because I see a lot of trucks going up and down every single day. So what inspired you to just start this business, and how did you even enter it,
It's a childhood inspiration.
Okay.
So I'm from a family where my grandfather used to own trucks. He used to sell cents.
Okay.
I grew up in Babong. It's in Brits. And Brits is known as the mining town.
Okay.
And so growing up, most back then how our grandfathers used to do business. It was not as professional as it is today. And as a result, I think it was limited to its full potential. So it didn't grow to what it was capable to reach. So Bapong is alongside the N4.
Okay.
So you'd find that on Sundays, I remember, after church, we'd walk towards the N4, sit there. And when my cousins were fascinated by the Ferraris, because it's that route that goes to Sun City.
Yeah.
So we'd sit there, look at these nice cars
passing by.
and these big trucks.
Yeah.
And for me, I was just fascinated by these big trucks because they were there at home.
Oh.
And I was like, but those that we have at home don't look as nice as these ones. And because he was running the company traditionally, he didn't go to school, but he made it. But it's just that he didn't reach the level that he could have.
Yes, the potential.
And my dad tried it, but then he also didn't manage because he didn't have the right systems in place.
Okay.
I still remember to an extent that he tried to buy a truck. I was going to tertiary. The way it was always on breakdown, my mom always had to supplement boosting the truck with her own salary. So it was more of iskwela, as we normally say in Kasi language. I grew up with this thing that I want to do this business and I want to do it right.
And you could already identify something is not going right here.
Something is not right here.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I didn't study logistics, mind you. I did my BSc, finished my BSc, taught for a year.
Okay.
But my heart was still not
So you were a
fulfilled.
teacher before?
I was a teacher for a year. That's why for a year. But my heart was not
Was just not
fulfilled.
there.
Yeah. Until a year later, an opportunity presented itself at Lonmin. It was still Lonmin by then, not Sibanye. Where one of these big companies had to JV with a black company to transfer skills. So it was more of a BE transaction. And I remember it was me with a couple of young people from the village I came from.
Yeah.
We decided to register a company, wrote a proposal, submitted it to Lonmin, the normal stuff. We went
Normal
for
BE stuff,
interviews with other companies. But because I had a bit of knowledge from home,
Understanding.
I think that's what
Helped
made
you.
us. Yeah.
So was it a bid submission? Or
It was a big
like
submission.
A proposal?
We did a proposal. I think we had sort of like 3 to 4 interviews before being chosen.
Wow.
So the company decided to choose us. It was myself and 3 guys. We owned a company called Badumela Transport, but it was a journey, Lerato. You don't just wake up and say,
imagine.
I'm a transporter.
Yeah.
We had to go through ESD programs so that we could be taught about entrepreneurship, how to manage finances. But I'm still grateful for the skill that was transferred by that company. At least it honored what Lonmin expected it to do. They really involved us in their operations. I still remember when I started, because I was a woman, automatically I was given a position. You'll handle invoicing, you'll handle office staff, and then the guys will do the maintenance and the operations. But I'm very much grateful because
that also did help you.
It did. And it did a lot, to an extent that I then decided to become accounting science, because I had no clue when coming to the debits and the credits.
You need to know what is what the hell is happening here.
The debits and the credits of this world, the returns, VAT returns and all that.
Yeah.
So I decided to register, become accounting science, which I completed. And
So since we were working with men, as partners, and then also this industry is very much highly dominated by males, how did you navigate just some of these dynamics, being taken serious, sometimes being in boardrooms, you feel like your voice is overlooked, and still feel like, I'm going to make it, man?
And trust me, it was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how it is. And you see me most. And back then, I was still petite.
Even smaller.
Even smaller.
Yeah.
You get into the boardroom, they'll only listen to you when you're telling them how we have performed as the company. But when coming to operational issues like the workshop, to say, guys, I think I know, a mechanic that can do this better. I think we should implement 1, 2, 3 in terms of compliance. It would be like,
we hear you, but
we hear you.
Manyan.
Yeah, leave it to us, gentlemen of this world.
So those were some of the challenges.
Those were some of the challenges, but I didn't take them lightly. I think they built me to who I am today. In as much as they would attempt to do that, I'm that person that will make sure that you recognize that I'm here and you hear me.
So
And
you're
that is
feisty.
why they say so. I don't think I am. I just, want to be recognized and
And sometimes your role will require you to be as such,
true.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one thing that drove me to open my own company, which is Mamoja later on.
So what pushed that decision, or even thinking about transitioning from this partnership to opening your own?
As I'm saying, limitations. I just felt that here am I going through the same route that my grandfather went through. I feel I've got more potential to do even better, even to grow this company to a
bigger scale,
than what it is now.
Yeah.
And hence, you only get to know me now, yet I've been in the game for so long, because I only started Mamoja Mamoja started operating in 2021.
Okay.
And I never looked back. I knew, I was very clear, I'm going to start this, and this is my plan. This, I'm going to do it.
So hold that's on, what 2021, this is just after come out of COVID.
Just after COVID.
And a girl was like, I'm opening this business.
I'm opening this thing. So COVID was an eye-opener for me. Okay. Because there was a time where we didn't operate. We were transporting platinum concentrate for Lonmin, and that's all we did. We didn't get other clients. That's all we did. And I was like, transport is so diverse, especially even in the mining sector. But those are the things that you try to put across that wouldn't be taken into
consideration or being taken serious.
Yes.
I see.
So I was like, no, I want to do this, and I want to diversify in transport. Then that's when I decided to start Mamoja. And I was not known by then, mind you. I was just an office lady at Concentrate Curious. Every time we'd go out there, they would know these guys. So and so, because they are the ones that would be in operations most of the time, engaging with clients. Most of the time I was behind the scenes, just in the office. Yeah.
That's a very inspirational story, especially one thinking you're a teacher, moved into a partnership, and by virtue of an opportunity coming through, then you're like, I don't belong here. I need to open my own thing. And you opened your own business. So now most people struggle to find the first client. And when you are in this space of transport, even worse, niche in the mining space, how do you get your first client? Tell us.
So with the first client, it was very interesting, I must tell you. So there was another plant that was just being built around our area.
Yeah.
And it was a PGM plant.
Yeah.
So I saw an opportunity right there to say, this is a PGM plant. Obviously, they're going to need a tanker. I approached one lady there that was in Glencoe.
Okay.
At Glencoe.
At Glencoe.
Yes, in Rustenburg. I was like, I see you're opening a PGM plant. How do you plan to move your product?
So hold on. You saw there's going to be a plant that's built, and you knew they're going to need a tipper truck.
A tanker.
A tanker.
Yes.
And then you decided, let me go and reach out. This is a beautiful, I would say, highlight for me, because sometimes we sit and we're seeing things happening, and you're like,
I'm waiting.
And whenever I'm going to go speak to. So physically, did you just go to there and find out who's this person?
So I got in there. I realized there's this plant that is being built. I asked who's in charge of your transportation services. They told me, made an appointment to go and see her, and the engineer said, can you draft a proposal for us? I remember I went back, sat down, I drafted a proposal. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go straight to the point, clearly articulate my value proposition, how I'm gonna carry out this task that I'm saying I'll be carrying on their behalf. Submitted it as usual. Costs were a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
But then later on, they realized that at the end of the day, we need this person. So as I was writing that proposal, I made sure that the value proposition is clear.
It's clear.
What we're capable to do is there. The compliance part, you demonstrate that I'm compliant. I'm capable of doing what I'm saying I'm going to do.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to share with you good news. Our second annual Tender Success Summit is happening 10th of May, and I want you guys to be part of it, because I know some of you are struggling with your tender submissions, your pricing, and more so your compliance documents, which relates to your submissions for SARS, for VAT, text can be such a huge jargon, but I do want you guys not to miss this opportunity because we're going to be unpacking some of these concepts so that you are not non-compliant and SARS does not come after you. And the last bit is your contracts. How many of you get into litigation and you don't know how to come out of it, or even be cheated? Your contract might be taken away from you and you are awarded, all of a sudden they withdraw the award and you do not know where to go. So I want you guys to come and attend the Tender Success Summit so that you can get empowered, get connected, and more so get access to market, because I do know some of you need these opportunities. So if you want to buy your tickets, visit www.roigroup.co.za and I'll catch you guys on the 10th of May. So now, did you have the truck or you were going to rent it?
I was going to rent a truck,
Okay.
but with stuff I already had. And then they were like, okay, come. That was late 2021, 2020, before 2022.
Nice.
Then I rented a truck, started servicing them. Trust me, to date, I'm still servicing them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
And many others.
But you know what? What I find very interesting about what you're just saying is that it's a proving point that not every opportunity will come you sitting. No. Sometimes you have to go for it. You saw, you identified, and you went. And you still drafted proposals. So see, not everything else is a tender. Eh?
No, not everything is a tender.
Yeah, it's like, they're not advertising this project. Where are people finding opportunities? Because I find that more challenging for one to, be exploring these things, because when you're wondering, these opportunities. Kind of opportunities are there. You need to go.
And it builds trust between you and your client. You coming up to say, let me do this. It's unlike a tender. I mean, a tender, you just send documents there. They don't know the face behind the tender. Once you are a woman, what are the chances in transport? That's the first thing. Can she deliver? She's a woman.
There's those doubts.
Yes. But the minute you go there, you send a proposal, then they invited us. We had to come and present, show them our compliance. And the minute you can show your people that you know what you're doing, you know what you're dealing with, it builds that trust between you and them.
So how confident were you? Were you very confident about I can do this? Or you were like, hey, you know what? There's a little bit of anxiety, but I'm going.
Anxiety is always there, Lerato. Even being here, there's this and that anxiety.
Like, but I'm going.
I was like, I'm going. You
Imposter
have to do
syndrome.
This.
What was it doing to you then?
Get out of your comfort zone, Aniki, with your fears. Go out there. It's not going to come to you, girl. You are a woman. Nobody knows you, But you've got the right resources. You've got the right resources to deliver. So why not go there, take advantage of it? After all, you're a woman.
Did you experience anyone trying to take advantage of the fact that you're a woman, those people who want funny favors, because there's a lot of those stories within this transport sector.
They are there. And I always say it's always, this why most of the time I like having direct relationships with my clients. You normally find such where you have to sort of like subcontract.
Oh, okay.
Where you get to be taken advantage of. Starting from the rates themselves. As a transporter, I know what it would cost me to move this glass from point A to point B. And then you get these ones that always tell themselves that I've long been in this industry. I'm going to use Lerato just to grow my business. Issues of pricing. A person coming to you, telling you, move this glass from here to there at 3 rands. That time man, it's going to cost me 4 rands to do that. And sometimes out of desperation, people get trapped to do it. The process that I went through of skills transfer, I think helped me to know when to say, no, thank you.
Okay.
Because you saying you'll do it and failing to deliver will only tarnish your image. So you'd rather not live with the 5 popo that you have, Lerato. And until such time you find something that you'll be able to deliver, the quality of work that you have set your standard to deliver. You don't want to find yourself compromising your standards, all in the name of just securing 3 rand. That's not even going to add much to your organization.
So now I'm tempted to ask you, how did you survive the transition period of waiting for a client and the time you are setting up your business? Because people experience a lot of financial struggle Or even when you left your teacher job and when there's always the time you're like, yo, kitlong kaka salary. My month end, I don't know when I'm going to get the first client. And now I don't, you know what I mean?
Now it doesn't
For you,
happen.
what would you say, what worked for you?
I think you're right by mentioning the time I left teaching. That's where I got to learn how to take risk, calculated risks.
Okay.
Not just risks.
Yeah.
You are very right. But then I didn't have a kid. So to me, it was like, I'm still young.
Okay.
I can explore. Even if it fails, I'll come back. So I had options. I moved from a bigger salary to any, hey, guys always think, that's why I got to learn even that as an entrepreneur, you need to have a salary. So I got there. I was earning a salary. To date, I'm still earning a salary.
Excellent.
Company money is company money. I still earn my salary end of the month. We were directors, but the drivers were even earning more than us. So that's why I got to learn that you need to build. Don't rush to drive the Maseratis of this world. Build your legacy. Those things will come later on. Drivers were earning more than us. I was okay. I knew where I was going. So even moving from this side to this side, but luckily because I was still a co-director in the other company. So I was still getting something, Yana. Plus more, I was old. I was already old. I mean, by 21, I'm already old. Even kids, I couldn't just decide to ditch the other for the other. So I was still a co-director this side.
Yeah.
So there was still something that I was getting this side. But my focus was more on this one, building this one, making sure that now I implement what I've been learning this side, and even more. Because when I started Mamoja, I went to as far as getting right accreditations. I was like, and girl, you're going to need to be ISO 9001 certified. When you get to industries like mining, when you have such certifications, they buy credibility for you. ISO 9001 checks the quality of work you do, which gives them comfort that there's an external body that is actually auditing you to check as to whether you're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
I also got to be RTMS certified, which is SANS, Standard 1395. It's all traffic management systems. So it's more like transport in a box, I always say. So it checks your drivers, it checks your trucks, it checks driver wellness, your trainings.
And these things you found out yourself?
Myself, as I was
you are growing
on
navigating
the
this journey.
I got to learn that there's RTMS.
Yeah.
Seeing other trucks. So it's a nice yellow sign in front of a truck. I was like, what's this RTMS? I started searching what it's all about. You'd normally find it in these big trucks, your big companies, your Imperials, your LCSs.
Your Scanias.
Yes. No, the big, like your Imperial companies, these well-established transport companies.
Green Road.
Yes, your Green Roads and all those. And I was like, what is this RTMS? And their trucks, you'll always see them. They stand out. They're totally different from other trucks. And it's all because of what this system does. You ensure that you maintain your trucks at the time that they need to be maintained. So there's no jigga there that you're going to say, I'm going to skip this service interval and do it later, because then you're going to lose your certification.
So is it costly to get those
just
certifications?
Like your ISO. It is, but I always say the benefits.
It's worth it.
The benefits are more than the cost.
Yeah.
You think it's costly, but once you have those systems in place, you save a lot, because you go to an extent of even ensuring that you check your driver behavior, how he drives, from the pickup point to the offloading, the harsh brakings, overspeeding and all that. If you look at those things, if you do not have control over them, they can lead to many breakdowns.
I see.
Accidents, which are more costly than what the certification is. So for me, that was more advantageous. You get to sleep even better, knowing that everything is in order. You've got the right systems in place to ensure that you prevent anything that can go wrong.
Okay. So I told you offline that I studied logistics.
Yes.
Surprisingly, but then I found myself in procurement. Lord knows how. So that's my undergrad. And in fact, I have a BTech in logistics.
Wow.
So one of the things we did was planning. Most transport businesses fail because of planning, not having the systems to plan accordingly. Did you find that a challenge in terms of your routes plan and whatnot, or it's just simple pick up, drop off from one mine to another?
It's not. You're dealing with TMMC and trackless mobile equipment.
Yeah.
It's machinery.
Yeah.
Just like it's machinery.
Machinery,
You can wake up one day and it's not working. Then what? Simple example. You place an order on Take a Lot. They tell you it's going to be there in 2 days. And you're expecting it in 2 days. It has to be there in 2 days. And it's a mobile machinery that needs to bring it to your place. If it breaks,
Then I
so
don't
you
get
have
it.
you
Yeah.
have to think,
What am I going to do?
what am I going to do? So it's not, and most people think transport is all about having this truck and a driver that is,
Reliable driver.
reliable, not even reliable, code 14. As long as he has code 14 and I have a truck, it's a plug and play. It goes beyond that.
So what are the complexities?
You've just mentioned one. You're dealing with customers. They have expectations. Time plays a vital role. You say to them, I'm going to pick this up at 3 and drop it off at 4. That's exactly what needs to happen. And it involves a series of things. It involves starting with, what is it that you're going to pick it up with?
Yeah.
Is whatever that you're going to pick it up with reliable? Is it not going to break along the way? Should it break along the way, what is it that you're going to do? Do you have the right team to ensure that happens? Like for us, we're running 24 hours a day, 365 a day.
Night shift, day shift, weekend.
Nangoku, babies.
I have the struggling.
Babies.
I love this. You make money when you're sleeping, babes. Actually. Yeah.
So even now,
Yeah.
they are running, the operation is running, and I'm here sitting with you.
Yeah.
All because of the systems. You need to make sure that you have the right team, qualified team to ensure that you have reliable trucks running. They are serviced when they have to be serviced. They are there to communicate with clients when instances happen.
Okay.
There are certain things that can be beyond your control. So you need to ensure that you have right systems, right people in place. Your regulation, licenses, are they up to date?
Yeah.
Insurance. What happens if you get an accident, not because of your fault, but somebody comes and then decide to bump onto your vehicle? Then you spill a 2 million rand product. What happens then? It's insurance, which is also costly, but it's something that you cannot operate without.
And I understand it's quite expensive, insurance in the trucking space, or rather in the logistics space.
Insurance, it's not only the truck insurance. It goes to your GIT, the goods that you're carrying. How much are they worth? You need to insure them. Public liability. What happens if you run onto somebody? What happens if you spill the spillage? Environmental factors get involved there. There's a lot. So, and those are the things that normally we just overlook and think it's just as simple getting a truck in. The driver, is the driver that's behind that steering wheel do they know what they're doing?
They're not just driving.
And you have to, with mines, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that they can. You don't just go there and meet somebody because he's got a code 14. You say he can drive. We are in South Africa. I mean, I can get a code 14 tomorrow. But
you don't just,
you don't just. I mean, even for yourself, that asset is expensive. You need to ensure that whoever that's behind that wheel knows what's expected of him to do.
So I want, now that we're talking about these things, to actually go into the challenges in this business. Some of the myths, I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard about transport business. It's a mafia business. It's like taxi driving industry.
It depends.
Allegedly, that's what they say. Maybe we don't understand the dynamics, but apparently it's very, oversaturated, not easy to penetrate. It's about who knows who. People like gatekeeping. They can take you out. I mean, I've had a friend who tried to rent a truck, and they had some business, from wheat bank, transporting to like vegetables and stuff to vendor. But then it was subcontractor of sub that didn't want them to have a direct client, and now ultimately they were robbing them. So, Nkarina lady, hey, don't go there. Is that true?
Just like any other business, I would say.
You reckon?
So, as I always say, or as I've said earlier, you need to know what to accept.
Okay.
You can, even yourself, you can't just decide to do business with anybody without doing your research. Who is this client? Is he reliable? It goes towards desperation is the one that leads us to ending up being in those
Burning
situations.
waters. Yeah.
As I said, no matter how good a deal might look, there are times where I'm saying, no, thank you.
You
There's
really
one
have to
that
do your due diligence.
you do your due diligence.
Yeah. So there's one that
You conduct it. You must know the client. You must get references. Subcontracting, that's where that happens a lot. You know, as I'm saying, it's choices. You decide, am I going? If I'm gonna subcontract, who am I gonna subcontract under?
did you
Is it
experience any potential client that you felt like this is not worth it for me?
Recently,
What happened?
I had one where the deal was good, but it was too shady
Okay.
as I was doing my due diligence. And I turned it down. I'd rather have the truck standing, parked, until I find a legit deal, as opposed to putting myself at risk. Because you're going to lose. It's fuel, it's driver, it's tires, it's your truck. It has to be paid, it's maintenance.
So without mentioning the specifics, just for context, for someone to understand, what would you say was maybe some of the things you experience or you hear people experience in the industry that one should be aware of to say, scam alert, fraud alert, or you were almost there or you were actually there before?
With regard to the mines, I'm going to start there. There's never a tender that's on the streets.
Okay.
Ne? We normally get these people saying, I've got this contract. I've got a contract with Impala. Impala, once it has a contract out or a tender out, they've got portals where they advertise those.
Okay.
So never fall onto such traps. Those are the ones that would lead to such things. Point number 2, check, as I've mentioned, who is saying I've got a contract? Is he already delivering the services? Seek proof. Go and spend a day there where he's saying he's servicing.
And see.
And see if he's really servicing. Lerato, I used to travel from here to Durban just to go and check. These people say they need services in Durban. Let me go and see where my trucks will be operating. Always don't overlook this thing of going to do your due diligence,
You must do your
knowing where you're
physical
going to
checks
operate
as well.
physical.
Okay.
Because you stand the risk of taking your truck there, it being stolen. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Not only not being paid, it can never come back to your premises. So we should stop this thing of being too desperate. I understand we are all hungry for success. Let's avoid shortcuts. Rather, deal with people that have been there in the industry. If you are to subcontract under a company that it's been there in the industry, it's got something to lose. I always say, always deal with somebody who's got something to lose at the end of the day.
That's a
If
nice
he's
one.
not paying you,
Yeah.
he knows I've got something to lose.
Yeah.
As opposed to dealing with Aniki who's got nothing to lose, even if he or she messes up with you. Yeah.
Okay. So truck drivers, apparently they are problematic. Is it true? Did you experience any challenges with them?
Truck drivers, they're not problematic. They are human beings just like you and I.
Okay.
If you understand their needs, first of all, understand they're human beings just like me and you. Understand their needs, and that's what RTMS also covers. You need to understand that I've got this person, chances are he's got chronic illnesses. I need to be aware as Aniki that I'm employing Lerato who's got diabetes. And it starts there. It's a human relationship. There and there, I have to remind Lerato, did you take your pills? Because imagine should he have an attack behind the truck. Secondly, we like exploiting people. That's where you're going to have problems.
Don't exploit them.
Don't exploit your people. Pay them what they're supposed to be paid. There's the National Bargaining Council, Road Freight Industry, which clearly stipulates a driver must be paid this much per hour. A driver needs to rest. And then we find our people taking poor drivers, overworking them, the poor driver pushing loads, being paid per load. That's where you're going to have issues. Because that person can never be happy. He's exhausted. He's underpaid. So that's when you're going to start having these issues with drivers. Strikes. I've never had an incident where
People are
our
striking.
drivers were part of a strike because they are all under the bargaining council. They know their rates get to be discussed together with their unions at the bargaining council level. I'm not gonna wake up one day and say I'm giving you 5,000 because
All of a sudden.
nje, I feel go for 5,000 because now I'm making 2 rands as opposed to 3 rands. So those are the things that you can eliminate. The stress you can eliminate. The thing is, we wanna get rich quickly and at the expense of other people.
So from your experience now, did you ever lose a client or be in trouble because a driver didn't deliver on time, didn't show up, or people just disappointed you? You know, those type of business challenges.
Drivers there and there. Minor, we've never lost anything.
Yeah.
But there'll be days, obviously, where they don't show up because they were drunk yesterday.
Okay.
Claiming to be sick when they are not. Normal human behavior.
Yeah.
But we've never had an incident whereby we saying to a client, we can't deliver because our drivers are on strike. I mean, even that time of Marikana massacre, our trucks were moving.
So you were
being
still...
escorted. We were there.
Wow. How was that experience for you? That could have been very hectic. The shootings and all of that.
It was very hectic. And the man was like, it's either you're going to deliver or we're getting another supplier. And they were being escorted. And our drivers showed up. Why? Because of the treatment we're giving them, we're able to sit them down to say, guys, we need to do this. These are the securities we've put in place to ensure that you guys are fine. Because at the end of the day, it's an issue of trust. You build that trust between yourself and your employees. And they were there. None of them got killed.
Were you not scared?
We were. All of us, the whole South Africa was, I think, that time.
I mean, you were even in the literally direct. Because now we just sit in the news.
Yes,
and, you know.
we were there. It was quite a sad time.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially in the mining industry.
I see. So now what can you say it's something that you've learned running a trucking or logistics business within the mining sector as a woman?
As a woman, don't take things for granted. Ne? First of all, know what you're doing. I understand this BE thing. We think because you're a woman and you're black, then you can make your way. Those people are running a business as well. That should be a cherry on top for you to say, okay, let's say I meet all the requirements with Jonas. Me being a woman then
It's a cherry on top.
should be a cherry on top.
It's not the main thing.
It's not the main thing.
True.
It should be a cherry on top.
You must know what you're doing.
You must know your market research, know your territory, know what you're doing. Issues of pricing, Lerato, I've seen companies going down because of pricing. Especially in transport, it's not a child's play. There are a lot of things involved.
Sure.
You need to know how much maintenance do you spend every kilometer you travel. That tire, how much of it do you lose it per kilometer as you travel? Fuel, how much fuel are you burning every kilometer you travel? So it's very intense and it requires, I always tell people, even today, I still have a mentor and a coach. Many of us like shortcuts. I remember when I got into the yellow equipment industry, which is material handling.
Yeah.
I tried to do shortcuts. There was a tender where I didn't know how to price.
Sure.
Guess what I did? What any person would do. Checked, okay, how much are you charging for this? And when they this is how much I'm charging. That time I forgot that person has a paid up machinery. I'm still going to buy machinery.
And these are some of the things we talk about in our masterclasses, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's paid up. Hence, his rate is low. I still have to go out there and look for the machine. I got the tender, Lerato. And when I went to apply for financing, it was a challenge. Because the banks were like,
your numbers
girl, how are you going to repay us?
And you realize you basically underpriced.
The numbers were not making sense. One financial institution said, okay, we will help. To make matters worse, the client said, okay, on his scope of work, you'll be working 16 hours. Only to find that when we started operating, that machine only works 10, 11 hours. That already throws you out in terms of
already
revenue.
You were low with your price.
Yes.
Now you're operating under even further
further
Lower threshold.
lower threshold.
Oh my God.
That time, the machine is delivered on site. It's been working for about 2 to 3 weeks. Now the client, the financial institution that obviously admitted to assist me is checking the hours that we operate in a day. Is not make sure.
So what was going on in your mind then?
And then they pulled out. You think what's on my mind? They pulled out. As they pulled out, the OEM went to the mine and then
Directly.
took the machine. Took the machine whilst it was still in operation. 100 trucks standing outside to be loaded. Tell me.
What a costly business mistake.
Tell me.
Because
what
of
does that
pricing.
do? What does that do to your image?
Oh my goodness.
By the grace of God, something that I've learned as well from my journey, keeping good relations.
Yeah.
There's this established company that I had a good relation with. We actually, they got to know me. They approached me after servicing Glencore. So Glencore told them that there's this lady who's doing these services for us. You can approach her, maybe you can collaborate to offer the services to us. And that didn't materialize. But in as much as it didn't materialize, I didn't cut the umbilical cord in a rough way.
Yeah.
It was done
You
in
didn't
a
burn your
smooth
bridges.
way. I didn't bend the bridges.
Yeah. Okay.
In a nice way to say, no, I can't. And hence I was able to go back to them to say
guys.
now, because they were specializing with yellow equipment. I had experience in tankers. And we just didn't agree on some of the terms they wanted to come with when coming to this collaboration. So I went back to them to say, and I played open cards. Guys, here it's all about me preserving the image of the company. Here's the contract. I'm playing open cards. It's here. I got it from this client. I need to deliver. Even if I don't make money, can you please just service this client just to ensure that I don't tarnish my company's image there?
So they had the equipment.
They had equipment.
So they could work with those margins.
They could, and it was paid off.
Wow.
So they came, they assisted me. I serviced the contract. Lerato, this was in 2022. The contract is ending in 2020. No, in May. I've been servicing it since then today.
And are you not making
But
money?
at some point, no. At some
So
point,
you're breaking even.
No, at some point, I was using their services. Later on, I found a guy who had machinery, didn't have work for them. I was able to negotiate better rates with him. Then I took that machine and continued to operate.
I actually love this is a big business lesson learned.
Yay!
So when we say guys price correctly, we really mean it.
I mean it.
Because now there were hidden costs that you did not account
Yes.
for or you overlooked.
I overlooked.
Because you were like, I can do this by this
can do
much.
this.
My neighbor is charging this much. And that's the thing, right? We don't know right now how much, say, Bidvest is charging for cleaning materials for this thing. And then you're like, bashaja bukana per liter. I'm going to just do 5 rand more.
Or 1 rand less.
Or 1 rand
so
less.
that we think pricing is the ultimate thing in a tender. It is, but it's not the ultimate.
It's not the ultimate.
You
True.
should know what it costs you to deliver the services that you're saying you're delivering.
That's why in procurement evaluations, it's called total cost of ownership.
Yes.
It's not about that element
Yes,
of your price and your profit margin.
True.
Sure.
Hence you have your Louis Vuitton
Yeah.
and your normal brands. And they don't compromise.
They don't.
Because
They
you never
understand.
compromise your quality. If it's at that much, keep it at that much. You know why you're saying it's at that much.
So now in hindsight, would you say if you did then do your total cost properly, analysis, knowing you were going to lease this equipment and all the rates, were you still going to bid?
I was. I always do. I always bid. What sets me apart in most instances, it's always my value proposition.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one you know yourself.
That I know myself.
That's
that
a
one I'm
strength.
sure of.
So now some people say this type of mistakes, did you go back to the client and say, guys, I've made a mistake? Or you're like, here, I must just swallow this.
I had to swallow the pill
Okay.
because you going back, you remember I did my presentations.
Oh.
And I was, guys,
Your
I know
credibility
this,
will go.
I know this thing. And I knew, when coming to operations,
You know
I
it.
knew. But the pricing part, I remember it was a new
Yes.
operation, which is yellow equipment. When coming to safety, service delivery, there I was sharp.
100%. Yeah.
Pricing is where I fumbled. But later on, a year after, as I mentioned, I think we went for a year after when it was time for us to adjust prices, I was able to sit down with them. And that's where I played the trick to say, let me show you I'm spending this and this and this and this and this. So can you please up your increase just a bit so that, so that I can continue to offer the services that I'm offering. And they did. They adjusted the price because I proved that I could deliver. I gave them good services throughout the year.
And it only took a negotiation. Let's talk. And you paid open book.
Yes, but the problem with this one, I had already had too many talks trying to secure this other machine coming on site. That on its own, them taking the machine whilst the things were in operation, having to spend days without delivering, I was like, I cannot come back again and say, and by the way, the pricing as well was also wrong. So in as much as I wasn't making it was a break even for me, I said I could live with this because I had other channels of revenue.
I see.
Streams bringing in money into my company. So I was like, it's a lesson learned the hard way, girl.
It is, eh?
For the first year, I dealt with that, but luckily later on, and I started making money.
So for people who don't understand these chemicals that which you're transporting, what are they actually? I mean,
Platinum concentrate to start with. You need to know what you're transporting.
It sounds very intimidating. Is that not was it not intimidating for you to even carry it?
It is.
Delivering it like
I've got the whole platinum.
I have like stress materials here.
It is intimidating. So know what you're transporting.
Okay.
If a client says, deliver this cup for me there, first thing, how much is this cup? Because you need to insure this cup. Once it breaks along the way, you need to replace it. That's where it starts. How much is this cup? If I were to replace it, how much would it cost me to replace it? Safety around that. Is it a hazardous thing? Is it a normal thing? Because regulation differs. If you're handling hazardous products, you need to have the correct handling procedure for that hazardous product, including its regulations. They're totally different from when you're handling something that is non-hazardous. Yeah. So that's the first thing. Know what is it that you're transporting. What does regulation say around that product that you're transporting? Insurance. Again, I can never stop emphasizing the importance of insurance.
Did you ever have to claim for insurance in one of your, whether it's the truck itself or it's the actual materials or it's the drivers?
Lerato. Not so long ago, late last year, October, for the first time in our life, we had an incident that was nearly a fatality, where one of our drivers forgot to pull a handbrake, and the truck rolled because it was parked in an inclining area. It was at night, and it was at the mine. He tried to stop the truck.
How? He was outside of the truck?
Outside of the truck, going to the control room at the mine to get.
And then all of a sudden the truck starts moving.
The truck starts moving. He realizes as he's coming back. He tries to open the cab door.
While the truck is moving?
While the truck is moving.
At what speed is this now? Slowly?
It was slowly. I think it was between 10 and 20.
Yeah.
And as he tried to do that, he slipped and fell.
He fell. And obviously the truck...
And at that time, the truck was actually going through the gate. And then there's this pole just next to the gate. So he hit that pole and fell on the ground. To date, we're still asking ourselves, how did the truck not run over him? This landed him in Mill Park Hospital. He had to be taken by a chopper to Mill Park Hospital.
So what happened to the truck?
The truck moved and it was stopped by the trees there by the bush.
So it kept on moving until it
hit something that put it on.
And then where's everyone in the mine at this time?
At that time, the controllers and the security are in the control room. And that's when the movie started.
Ooh,
And
everyone is running around.
The following day, the mine will tell you as the owner, you be here, girl. You being a girl doesn't matter at that point. You need to prove your compliance, that the person who was driving is eligible to drive. Starting with your truck. You see, we were all able to see, because we've got cameras in our truck, that he didn't pull
The handbrake.
With the mines, they don't look at that. That's the last thing. Why didn't he pull the handbrake? Let's start. Let's start with your
You
machinery.
didn't train your truck.
Let's start
your
with
truck
your
driver when the operating of the truck.
Yes, before they even get there, let's start with your truck. Was it serviced? Did it have brakes? Let's start there. You need to prove that I've been servicing this truck, to an extent that we even called an OEM to do a diagnostic report to prove
This truck
to
is
the
being
mine
serviced.
and the DMR that the truck was fine. If the truck is fine, then we move. This driver, did you train him? Does he have PDP, code 14? Yes, he does. Did you train him on how to drive?
You must show.
You must show, yes. We taught him how to drive. Does he know the procedure to follow when he gets to a parking area?
What do I do?
Yes.
Check,
Do I
handbrake, what?
Yes, he
now
does.
you must prove.
Okay, he knows. Okay, now let's check. How many hours has this driver been working? How many days?
Maybe he was tired.
You see how many things. And before you know it, you can easily land in prison.
Sure.
Should they find fault in anything that they're checking.
So luckily you had your ducks in a row.
Luckily our ducks were in a row.
And
If you're saying you have a procedure that says drivers must work and rest at this point, that's what needs to happen.
It was just a human error.
It was a human error. And with us, so there are procedures for the mine. The mine would say our people rest in 4 days. They must work 12 hours, whilst the bargaining council allows for drivers to work maximum of 15 hours. But then you must, when they work for 15 hours, the following day they can't come to work at the normal time, or you must give them a day off. So it was that kind of a situation where we also called the driver back in whilst he was off, but he had rested. So the mine was like, no, you need to align with us. But luckily it was not. We had a procedure that we were following. So that's what saved us.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I'm glad nothing fatal happened.
Nothing fatal. That's what I'm saying.
Thank God
It's
he was not run over by that same truck.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Owning a truck, it's not a matter of wait until you have that accident, then see that the proposal dance. You go to
So
DMR.
I'm sure your strict governance controls are like this. After that day, you're like,
Even before, because of RTMS,
Okay.
I was saved by RTMS, being RTMS certified, because those are the things they are monitoring. When they come, they monitor how many hours did the driver work, fatigue, how are you managing it. So I was saved by that, having the right system in place. As I said, having to pay for the certification could be expensive, but it's the returns,
great.
after.
Okay.
Of having such systems in place that would show you the benefit of actually having those systems in place.
Okay. So just as wrapping up the conversation, which, we can go on and on.
Hey, the whole day.
And I'm also fascinated by all these, lessons and stuff. What would you say as a woman running a business has been one of your challenges and maybe some of the wins? I mean, you don't want to talk about problems all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I've already mentioned some of the challenges.
Lots,
Access to finance, breaking barriers. It's very male dominated. But at the end of the day, do what you have to do. Have your ducks in a row. I believe once you have all that, you are able to break anything.
Yeah.
It's male dominated. I mean, gender is just gender. At the end of the day, show up, deliver what you're saying you're going to deliver. You'll be able to get what you want at the end of the day. When coming to wins, there have been a lot of wins. From where I started, as I've mentioned, I've managed to secure some few Anyana clients now to date.
Yeah.
I'm able to get into the boardroom full of men without any intimidation because I allowed myself to learn the industry.
So how many mines now? Okay, no, you're going to tell us how many. Just top 3. The ones that we feel like, girl, shout out. Glencoe, you said?
So it's Glencoe, and then we've got Sylvania, We've got Crocodile River Mine.
Wow.
Um,
That's enough.
Sivanye is still there, but it's on the other
I'm
other
sure
company.
your family must be very proud of you.
I hope they are.
They should be. I mean, these are, some of the things you get into it, you think it's easy until one day you really reflect and look back and like, did I just do that? Because you're creating employment. You're doing a bigger, role besides you growing this business. It's employing these drivers, employing people around, empowering the community. It's a massive, milestone. It's very big.
And that's what I'm very passionate about. You should come and visit our office.
Please.
I'm very big when coming to empowering or empowerment. Starting from my manager, my operations manager was born in 1990. Is it 99 or 97? So I've got quite a young management team.
Okay.
And all these robots, I've rebooted them myself. The only information they know about transport is the one that I've given them.
Wow.
All the way to most of our drivers.
Yeah.
They are the ones that went through our in-house driver training program called Aredire Mmogo, which I started in 2022, taking young people from our communities, training them on truck driving. And helping them to get code 14
Wow.
driver's license. So when opportunities arise, I just take from this pool, from these robots of mine, and plug them in my industry, because the only culture they know is the Mamoja culture.
Wow.
And none other. And I've found that very waking for me, because it's very difficult sometimes to change a perception of what a person knows.
Yeah.
When you get somebody that comes from this company, this is how they were doing things.
Whatever.
Sometimes it's very difficult to change their behavior.
That's true.
So with me, from managers, I take them fresh from university.
But can you see your teacher?
It's still there.
I'm listening to you. I'm like, why not actually still teaching people? Oh man,
it's
you're
funny
such
how,
a fresh breath air.
So
Sure.
So yeah, that's how it is. And trust me, I just enjoy being around them. I'm here now. My trust is with them.
And that's a big one. Wow.
And they're delivering, I must say.
I love that. For just in closing, for someone who wants to start a logistics business, who's a woman, aspiring, looking at you, Anna inspires me so much. What can you say to that person?
I always tell them to start with market research. Transport is big. It's not only mining. I've just made an example.
Yeah.
Can take a lot. Those scooters, they don't need to start big. Start small. Don't put pressure on yourself. Have a clear business plan and set clear goals. Get a mentor so that you can know what to do.
True.
Avoid mistakes I did, the pricings and all those things.
Yeah.
Get somebody who's going to be coaching and mentoring you through your journey.
Yeah.
Don't compromise on legal requirements and compliance. That way you'll be in business for years to come.
True.
When coming to finances, pay attention to your income and expenses. That's for somebody maybe that already has one truck. Because before you know it, that's something that can throw you out. Things like diesel pricing, which adjusts now and then. You need to factor that in on your pricing and actually monitor it on a weekly basis. You'll be surprised. Every week, I check how much diesel consumption.
So you must be involved in the business.
You must be involved. I always tell people, don't rush to employ people. No, so that when you come and check, you know what you're checking.
Okay.
Pay attention to such. Diesel, your maintenance, those are your biggest costs, including salaries.
Yeah.
In transport. And we know, sonke siyalamba. And we always say, "Sikhereza where we work."
Yeah.
So that diesel, you don't know. I'm not saying don't trust your people, but I mean, if it's a Friday and I've got a party to go to tomorrow, maybe selling 20 liters of diesel can give me something. So those are the things you need to have.
You must monitor to that level.
Like a watchdog.
Sure.
You must monitor them. as well as your income. Make sure that you still have it. It's able to cover your expenses. You don't want a situation whereby you're not able to cover your expenses as a result. You can't deliver. You end up having to sacrifice certain things. And last but not least, be there, show up. And it is doable.
Do it.
If we're able to do it, can
Just
do
do
it.
I wouldn't be justice if I don't ask you this one question, the last one. Apparently, people enter business the mines because of this money. Is that true?
Every business should have money, shouldn't it?
Allegedly, mines, there's this money that is like...
Every business has money. It's all about how you deliver it. Mines, like any other business, transport is transport at the end of the day. Whether you're doing it at the mines or you're doing it
these are some of the things people are saying that, mine is money.
There's money.
Yeah.
But it's not that there's money. There are a lot of risks associated with doing business with the mine.
Yeah.
And as a result, they need to be compensated.
Okay.
If the mine expects me to put cameras in a truck, then they must compensate for it. If the mine expects me to have high safety standards, which require certain things, they must compensate. So I guess that is where the narrative is coming from. But like any other business, it's business. You're gonna make money at the end of the day as long as you're managing it properly. We could be doing transport the same rates, same everything, but find that I'm not making money whilst you are. It's all about you at the end of the day. How you're managing it. How are you doing all these things that I'm doing? You
are clearly an entrepreneur that is really entrenched and involved in your business. And one can tell or passionate.
How?
As we're talking, another thing and something keeps coming. And I love this. I really love this. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming to our podcast. I'm sure this is going to help a lot of other people. Since that it will stay longer. And keep rising and doing more. And I hope you can go to all these mines, dominate.
I pray.
It's coming.
I hope it's coming this year.
It's coming. You are a leader in the space. I mean, don't even take yourself so lightly because there's very few females who are doing it. And you need to see more female faces. And the president said there'll be more opportunities for women. So maybe you should train and other more women into this space, And that's what we are hoping for.
No, most definitely. That's my aim as well.
Yeah.
After this empowerment, developing people, because the whole reason I started with this development of people, I couldn't think of a better way of giving back to people than through skills transfer.
Yeah.
It's one thing if I buy shoes and donate them at a school, but giving somebody a skill, that's something that is priceless. So from here, yes, most definitely. Once I'm sure that some, at least few or more families now have bread on top of their tables, then I'll definitely give some time towards empowering entrepreneurs in the logistics space as well.
We thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, I don't want to add or minus from what Anna has already shared with us. Please do subscribe. Share with other people this video, and remember to comment. If you do need your mentorship or some of your programs, they can go to your website.
Yes.
Mamoja Trading Project.
www.mamoja.co.za.
Okay. So this is how we sign up, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye. Hello, everybody. I wanted to share with you good news. Our second annual Tender Success Summit is happening 10th of May, and I want you guys to be part of it because I know some of you are struggling with your tender submissions, your pricing, and more so your compliance documents which relates to your submissions for SARS, for VAT, tax can be such a huge jargon, but I do want you guys not to miss this opportunity because we're going to be unpacking some of these concepts so that you are not non-compliant and SARS does not come after you. And the last bit is your contracts. How many of you get into litigation and you don't know how to come out of it, or even be cheated? Your contract might be taken away from you and you are awarded, all of a sudden they withdraw the award and you do not know where to go. So I want you guys to come and attend the Tender Success Summit so that you can get empowered, get connected, and more so get access to market, because I do know some of you need these opportunities. So if you want to buy your tickets, visit www.roigroup.co.za and I'll catch you guys on the 10th of May.